Good day, YouTube. I thought about making this video, Life as an Officer in the United States Air Force, just last night. I'm not sure why I've never even thought about making this video, but I can tell you that my computer died last night, so I had a lot of time to think, and I was like, well, what's the next video? This is it. Life as an Air Force officer. I came in enlisted, and my first base where I was stationed active duty was Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama, which happens to be the home of officer training school. So every 6 weeks back in that day, I would see brand new second lieutenants commission. And I knew I wanted to finish my education and I wanted a challenge as well. And I applied for OTS and I was not picked up. So my commissioning source was ROTC. Now, before I continue, let me say that if I was not selected to become an officer, I still would have stayed enlisted. And I would have made the Air Force a long-term career because I loved the Air Force, especially after 3 years of having some time to see if it was a perfect fit for me, and it was. When I was enlisted, I was a senior airman. I made it all the way to staff sergeant, and we had 2 lieutenants at different times. The first one was a female, and she was young, maybe 23, and then the second one was about 24, a guy. And we knew, as the enlisted force, that they were in charge of our section. Doesn't matter what their age was. In fact, I was older than both of them. But that's just what it was, is they were in charge of our section. So we taught them and we learned from them as well, but we were the experts and they weren't. And we had to make sure that we kept those lieutenants completely educated, informed on what we were doing in the process, whatever that program was. When I commissioned, now I was on the other side. I was that lieutenant. So what I did is, as a second lieutenant and first lieutenant, you are given responsibility over people and programs immediately. What I did is something that I've always heard, which was find a seasoned NCO or seasoned senior NCO and learn from them and have them guide you and have them take care of you. At the same time, you have to take care of them. So the roles were reversed, and I was able to do that. Here's an example of responsibility immediately, is I went to Silver Flag exercise in Florida, and I went with a team of 1 tech sergeant and 2 staff sergeants and myself. I was a first lieutenant at that time, personnel, my career field. And our job was PERSCO, which stands for Personal Support for Contingency Operations. Because I was prior enlisted, I knew that job pretty well. But they skipped and walked right by those NCOs and came straight to me and said, "Sir, here is the package of the people that you're responsible for." Now, with my team, we were responsible for everybody at that exercise, all personnel. That was our job. And I also relied on those great NCOs that I went TDY with to do the job that we had to do. An example of knowing who's out there and the talent that you work with and their strengths and weaknesses to ensure that we get the job done. Now, some people may say, oh, as an officer, you get paid more, and that's all they focus on. And that's not a good thing to just solely focus on, because there's a lot more to being an officer than just to earning more money. One of them is responsibility. And that is a big thing. I'll also talk about in just a few moments of what a day looks like in my life as an Air Force officer. Now, what your job will be depends on your career field. And there are many career fields for officers, from pilots to security forces to personnel, medical. The list goes on and on. So every career field is different. As a second lieutenant and first lieutenant, I was a section commander, 2 different bases, in Colorado and in Hawaii. And I would administer, among other things, non-judicial punishment, which meant I would work with the first sergeant. And in this case, he would come to my office and prep me and say, this is what this person did. He or she is going to report into your office, and you're going to administer. An example could be a letter of reprimand. Now, I'm the type of person that I love to deal with people. And that was something that I would do, correct someone as needed and administer, non-judicial punishment. But at the end, I would take a moment to say to this person, remember that life, like the Air Force, in most cases will grant us, everybody, second opportunities. So take this experience, negative experience, and do something positive from it. So that way you're not in this situation again. And I was working directly for the commander to do a lot of these duties that I had to do, non-judicial punishment. I've always respected people, and to my knowledge, tried to be consistent across the board. It's that golden rule: treat people the way you want to be treated. Now, the perception as a second or first lieutenant is you are young, you're brand new, and you probably don't know too much. However, I have seen some incredibly sharp lieutenants out there that their confidence and knowledge is great, and that's what I love to see, especially when I see a young enlisted service member who is that way, confident in knowledge, full of knowledge. As a captain, you could be in for 4 years or maybe up to about 9 years. People don't know how many years you have, so you're a little bit more seasoned, and that's a good thing because some of that perception goes away, and that could be because people kind of figure you out. Oh, this guy or this gal knows what they're talking about, or they could be the opposite. They're really not that sharp. Now I'm a major, and I've been a major almost for 5 years. My board for promotion is in the summer of 2018. We will see what happens with that. As a major, lieutenant colonel, and colonel, you are now considered a field grade officer. So when you walk in, people know just by your rank and maybe nothing else that you've been around the service for a while. With being an officer, there comes a lot of things that I now want to talk about, which is responsibility. I talked about that brief. You will lead people immediately and programs as well. So you have to be ready for that. And the key to being ready is being prepared, personally and professionally. That way you can learn, adjust, move forward, and do what you're supposed to, which is lead and manage people and programs. Currently, I manage total force. I manage active duty, supervise active duty. I supervise reserve. I supervise guard, 2 civilians, and 1 contractor. So I have that total force experience right now, which is great. Let's talk about something that you may observe being on a military base or what it's like, and that is the salute. The salute is an exchange between individuals in uniform, usually on base, but it could be off base as well. What I like about the salute is it's universal, and it applies to all branches, not just the Air Force as well, and it applies worldwide. And it's, in most cases, you don't even know these people or they don't know you, but it's just a standard that goes. You salute, or they salute, or I salute, vice versa, depending on the rank, and a verbal greeting, which is not required, but I've always preferred to have a verbal greeting, even if it's just a good morning or good evening. My daily job, what does that consist of? A lot of emails, a lot of meetings, performance reports, a lot of performance reports with the people that I have to supervise, declarations. You have to be able to take care of your people, especially when it is deserved. Speaking in front of other people, speaking in front of many people is part of the job as well. You have to put in your people for quarterly awards, know who is deserving and who is not, and why they should be submitted for a quarterly or annual award. Taking care of people, approving leave, being observed is something that, as an officer, you are being observed all the time, whether you know it or not. That could be from people above you or below you, but that is one of the things. And because of that, I would recommend be consistent. I've learned, maybe from small mistakes, where perception in some people's mind is reality, even though it's not accurate. Or sometimes it is accurate. So be consistent, lead by example. Speak up to support others, but at the same time, you have to speak up to correct individuals as needed. And that's the thing that I would recommend. If you're watching this video and you're in the service, regardless of your rank, if you need to correct someone, do it tactfully and do it. And if they get upset, that's on them, because maybe they shouldn't have done what they did, whether it's wearing the uniform wrong or whatever it is. My thoughts on being an officer: it's been an honor in my life to serve the Air Force, enlisted and as an officer. And I've been blessed that I was selected to commission and become an officer, because it's very competitive to become an officer. I think there are more people out there that want to be officers than there are slots. So I'm very blessed to do that. Preparation is something I talked about just a moment ago, and that is be ready, be prepared, personally and professionally. And if you're not, make those adjustments to do it. Know your strengths and weaknesses as an officer, as an individual, as an enlisted troop. Is always know the people that you work with, their strengths and weaknesses, and your own as well. That way you can get the best out of that team. Respect is as an officer, your rank, people are going to respect your rank. More importantly, people should respect you because of the person that you are, and I hope that's how it is for me. At the same time, sometimes you have to earn people's respect, and if that's the case, just over time, do what you're supposed to the right way, and people will respect you. Even if they don't like you, that's part of the job as well. My future as an officer, as I conclude, is this. I have about 1.5 years left in my AGR contract. I am still deciding what I want to do. Continue as an AGR or return to my civilian job as a community readiness consultant working for the Peterson Air Force Base Airmen and Family Readiness Center. Every week it changes. Sometimes I want to stay here, sometimes I want to go there. But I have to prepare and do what's best for myself, not what the Air Force wants, but now what I want. And the reason is because I have 20 years, 6 months of service. It's now up to me. If I want to continue at a fast pace, I can do that. If I want to move, I can do that. If I want to slow it down a little bit and return to the traditional reservist or individual mobilized augmentee, which is an IMA, I can do that. I have a lot of thinking to do. In the meantime, I'm still excited. I still love what I do. But now I'm going to approach things different and see what exactly I want to do. I'd love to be a commander. I've never done that. I've been a section commander, but now I want to take it to the next level. If I can find a job as a commander or other opportunities as well, whether it's working for NORAD Northcom or, there's just many opportunities that I'm always going to keep my options open and do what's best for myself, for my family. And I hope this video has been helpful. This is just insight to my thought, my world as an officer in the Air Force, both active duty and reserve. Hope you've enjoyed it. Have a great day.